Happy Monday, Flosstube. It is Monday, February the 18th. Happy Family Day. If you are one of the 6 Canadian provinces that celebrates Family Day, the other 4 remaining provinces and 3 territories, I think that you guys deserve a family day as well. So if you're off enjoying some time with your family today, I hope you're having a great day. So I'm really, I'm gonna try and be brief today. There was a Facebook joke that went around a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna post a picture of it right here because it's funny because it's true. So I'm gonna leave it up on the screen for a minute so that you can read it. So yes, that photo, that joke describes the way I tend to tell stories. So, however, today, I need to try and keep things brief because my family's back on their way from the cottage. I think they're only about an hour and a half away from home now. And I'd like to be done having this video filmed and ready to go by the time they get home. Sarah had the flu last week. At the beginning, we thought it was just a gastro thing, but then it was pretty clear it lasted for, 4 or 5 days. It chills, aches, tired, just really no energy, that kind of thing. And John messaged me this morning when they'd gotten over back to the mainland and said that he'd been ill all through the night, and so he was really grateful to be back at the car. And if this is your first time here, first of all, hello, my name is Caroline, welcome. We have an off-the-grid cottage up in Georgian Bay, which is accessible. It is accessible usually sometime in February you can snowshoe over the ice to get to it. It's on an island. I think I mentioned that. And so I don't like to do that. I'm not a fan of not having my feet on actual ground, even though I know it's 100% safe. It's totally safe. It's still just a little thing. John takes the kids and he heads up. And so that's where they were this weekend again. And so just imagine that you are ill and you have no running water. And not only do you not have running water, but you have to keep getting up every few hours to go and put more wood in the wood stove so that your kids don't, freeze. So that was his night last night. I suspect he's gonna be pretty miserable by the time he gets home. So I wanna make sure that I can, smooth the way back into the rest of this week for him. So poor guy, I can only just imagine. Anyway, more on the cottage in a little bit. So remember what I said about telling a story? It's funny because it's true. Every Monday, I like to do a giveaway. We call it Because Monday, because it's Monday. It's nice to have a little fresh start to the week. And these giveaways happen over on the Facebook group. There will be information about how to find us on the Facebook group in the drop-down box below. Last week's giveaway prize was it was a Charles Craft Bloomers, and Olivia B left the funniest comment. She wanted to know whether they came in an adult size, and she was asking for a friend. And so I thought that was pretty funny because I could see her making these for her sister Elena, and Elena would totally wear them, which is kind of funny. Anyways, the comment that was chosen was number 18, Rita Marie. So congratulations, Rita Marie. This is being sent out to you. And a shout out to Rita Marie, who has a YouTube Flosstube channel, Rita Marie's Stitching Adventure. And she's always lovely to visit with. I love her voice. I love her accent when she speaks English. It's one of those things, I tend to love hearing other people from other countries speaking English with their accents. Like, I know Scottish people are English. I know that, but I love the Scottish accent. So they don't have to speak a foreign language, just the English language with an accent. And I have been told that I have an accent before, which John thinks is absolutely hilarious because he says, you don't have an accent at all. And I would agree. I don't think I have an accent, but we generally don't tend to think that we have an accent, right? Anyway, I'm gonna get to it today, folks. I'm gonna do it. Okay, so today's Because Monday giveaway. This was donated from a friend and viewer of the show, Sheila Needham. And Sheila won one of the Beagle Paws bag sets. And so she sent me a little something in return, which was completely unnecessary, but very sweet. And one of the things in her mailing to me were 2 charts for giveaway. And so the first chart is the one that I'm going to use in today's Because Monday giveaway because it's adorable. And if I don't get it out of the house, I'm going to stitch it myself. And I don't have time to start a new project right now, but this is adorable. So this is a Chessie and Me pattern, and it's 1801 house. And this was a limited edition kit. But what you're not getting the kit, you're getting the pattern. So this is a Past the Stash. So Sheila has stitched this, but the pattern is in perfect condition. So it's absolutely a-okay. It's lovely. Isn't that sweet? Can you see that? There. Look at that adorable little scissor fob there. That's so cute. Anyways, so this is the giveaway for today's Because Monday. So hop on over to the Facebook group and leave me a comment over there on the posting that I'll put up after this video is up if you'd like a chance for me to send this to you. Apologies for the big band-aid on my finger today. I nicked myself with the rotary cutter yesterday, so it's necessary. I want to bleed all over the fabric. So anyways, there you go. Also, back to Sheila for a moment. She sent me something else in the package that I wanted to just quickly share with you because it was really sweet. So first of all, this lovely card. Now Sheila is from Quebec. She's from the Eastern Township in Quebec. And her daughter painted this. Right? I mean, isn't that beautiful? Her daughter is an amazing artist. And not only is she an amazing artist, but she has her own small business making soap products. And so Sheila sent me a few things that her daughter makes and sells. And so I'm going to show you, first of all, and I haven't opened, well, there's a lip balm, and I did open that because I wanted to try it, and I couldn't wait to share it with you. So this is the packaging. So she has done all of her own artwork for her products, which I think is lovely. And you know, it's in this cute little packaging. And this is, I believe this, yeah, it's rosemary and lavender, French Garden. Okay, so if you didn't know, Canada is a bilingual country. We have 2 languages, 2 official languages, English and French. And so because she's from Quebec and her business is French Canadian, the name of her business is French Canadian. And I have 3 years of French immersion under my belt. So a little bit more French than most typical non-Quebecois Canadians, but less than people who actually speak proper French. So I will try to pronounce this with the best possible accent that I can, but proper French Canadians are probably going to think that my pronunciation is terrible, and people who don't speak French will think, hey, that wasn't too bad. So, you know. So, Savonnerie de l'Estrie. So there you go. There's my not very good French pronunciation of the name of her business. And l'Estrie, I think that is the Eastern Townships. So it's the soap. I know savon is soap. So soap of the soap maker, soap making of the Eastern Townships. That would be my best guess. It sounds much better in French, doesn't it? The smell is beautiful. She has a website, .com. So it's the name of the business.com. Now, Sheila, please leave me a comment below, because when I tried the lip balm, I immediately wanted to order some more. So, but there doesn't seem to be an order function on her website. So shoot me a little message below and help me out there. So there was this lovely soap, and then here's the lip balm that I can't stop raving about. And it comes in this adorable little packaging. And it's not round, it's oval. So it actually fits your, all right? Isn't that neat? It smells great. I don't wear a lot of makeup. I wear eyeliner and lip balm. And so that's about it. And so getting a new lip balm was like Christmas morning. And the other thing, which I've been dying to use, but I haven't used because I thought I really needed to share it with you, was this lotion bar. And Sheila included this because I have mentioned before my love of lotion bars. And this is a lovely one, and I've been really dying to use it because look at what it looks like. Isn't that fun? It's so fun. But I didn't want to mess up his face before I shared it with you. So it smells beautiful. I can't wait to use it. So I'm actually going to transition that right into one of the questions that I had last week. So we'll consider this the start of the Ask Caroline segment. And it was Cynthia who wanted to know yes or no to hand lotion. And I think that this is really a personal thing because I suspect, I mean, it makes sense, right? That if you are very concerned about following, doing things correctly and, you know, creating heirloom pieces that you hope will be passed down for generations and that will, you know, stand the test of time and not disintegrate or, you know, attract bugs or be dirty or things like that. I suspect that the correct answer to that is no, you shouldn't have anything of any kind on your hands, and you should wash your hands frequently and you know, appropriately. So I am assuming that that would be the correct answer. I am not that kind of stitcher. I stitch for myself. I never enter competitions. I don't really care. I mean, I've talked about this before and it always elicits a bit of a response. After I die, if my kids throw away all of my stuff, that's up to them. I never want them to feel like they have to keep every single piece of everything that I have ever made or else they don't love me. And that's just how I feel. And this elicits a strong response because I know that, you know, lots of people feel very differently than that, and that they are creating heirlooms for their children and passing things on. For me, the things that I make are for me, and I love that they decorate my home, and I enjoy them now while I'm here. After I'm gone, I don't know. I'm not going to be here to find out what happens. So, and I know, you know, Save the Stitches and finding things in thrift stores and craft stores, well, you know, I get it. I do get it. However, so that's a long, again, see, there goes my story. I use lotion bars, but right before I stitch. I find that, and this is, everybody has a different skin chemistry. And so what works for me might not work for you, or what works for you might not work for me. I find that lotion bars, and there's also a cuticle cream by Burt's Bees. It's called Lemon Cuticle Cream, and I love that stuff. That's really, I really, really like that stuff. I find that the lotion bars, I put it on the backs of my hands and into my the tops of my fingers and my knuckles. I don't rub it on the palms of my hands but I do use my fingertips to rub it into my nails and my thumbs and my, because let's face it, it doesn't matter what you're stitching with, be it cotton, silk, well, those are your two choices, right? Cotton or silk. It's gonna, especially with the cold weather, your hands get so dry, and the threads do catch on our skin, right? If we have little hangnails and little things on our fingers. And so I find that the lotion bars, for me, I'll put it on, and then about a minute later, I can stitch with no problem at all. It just seems to kind of, it just absorbs in, and I can't really feel it. My hands don't feel greasy at all. Now I haven't tried Sheila's Daughter's product yet, but if it's like the many other lotion bars that I've used, I have a feeling it will be exactly the same. And off the top of my head, I can't remember Lavachet, and I'll show you them on Friday. How about that? In the next Friday Stitch With Me video, I'll show you the ones I've used. I've showed them before, but you know, like I always say, no one can watch everything. Okay, so again, thank you, Sheila. That was really, really kind, and it was a really nice treat. And everybody else, don't forget, pop on over. That's today's Because Monday draw. Okay, so getting back into the question and answer stuff from last week, the rocking stitcher, I'm going to start with her again, other than Cynthia's hand lotion question. She had left me a question last week about the number of whips I had and maybe doing a possible whip parade. And I answered that last week, but she left me another really nice comment this week, and how, you know, she agreed that she wasn't trying to make me feel anxious about it, that everybody should do what makes them happy, and it was a really nice comment. But at the end of her comment, she said, and I wrote it down because it was really nice. She said, she started watching me last year around the time that I moved up north to the cottage. And a little bit more to that story before I get into what she said. If you are new here, the reason for this channel being called Off the Grid Needlearts is because for 2.5 months every year, I move myself and one or both of my kids. I mean, my daughter's old enough now, she goes back and forth on her own. So Nicholas comes up with me, and I live there all summer. My husband comes back and forth for work. He comes up for a weekend when he can. And then he lives here in the summer, comes back and forth. Sarah goes back and forth now because she's older, and Nicholas and I hang out up there. I move my sewing business up there for the summer. Everything happens up there. It is my favorite place to be, bar none. There is nowhere else on this earth that I would rather be. And it's a really special place. And so, of course, in the summer, I film and do my videos from the cottage. So the rocking stitcher says that she started watching me around the time last year that I moved north for the summer, and she says, "Am I crazy for looking forward to the summer so you are back in the cottage?" Probably, but I loved your stories about living off the grid and everything about living there, which, you know, it's really a kind thing to say, and trust me, I look forward to getting back there as well. So what I'm going to do, in case you're interested, I'm going to go in and separate out a playlist for the videos that I've done up at the cottage. And I'm just going to separate them all out into their own little playlist, because the videos that I do up there are, you know, the stories that I tell up there are quite a bit different than the ones that I tell here, living in London, Ontario, Canada. It's a very different place. Last year's stories involved a mother bear and 2 cubs, and a very, very, very serious drought situation that we were dealing with for the summer. So if you haven't watched last summer's videos and you feel like catching up, well, I'll separate them out into a playlist in case you're interested. Okay, moving on to, and again, reading my handwriting, I'm going to say Kathy Kesser. It's either Kesser or Kessler, because I can't read whether I put an L in there or my E looks like a, you see what I mean, right? Okay, so Kathy had a really great question about putting, you know, designers will put out multiple small projects in a series. And you can either stitch them as individual projects, or you can put them all on one big giant piece of fabric and stitch them all as one design. So she asks, how do you know what size of fabric to get? If you, in her, the example, she's interested in Brooke's books designs. So I guess there's one with Christmas animals and one with a series with birthday cakes as well. I'm not familiar with these designs, but I can tell you how to figure out what to do because I've done it a few times myself. So I have an example here for you of, these are cottage country needlework patterns. This is the Frosty Forest design. I've shown this before, but I'm sure it was last year, quite a while ago. And of course it's not finished. I have 5 of the designs done on one piece of fabric. So there you go. These are charted individually. And so when you buy the series, just like Little House Needleworks, all the farm ones and the ABC sampler houses and things like that, all the patterns are sold separately. And then you have to do a little bit of math in order to figure out if you want to do it all on one piece of fabric. So there's a couple of decisions that you need to make. You need to decide what count of fabric you want to do them on first, and you need to decide how much space you want to leave in between each design. Also, usually the designer who puts the patterns out will design a template. Usually they'll design a template to put it all in one. So I would check and see whether she's already done the math for you somewhere. You know, you could just do a few Google searches just Google that question right in there and you might get the answer. However, if you can't find it, you need to decide what count of fabric you want to use and how many spaces you want to leave in between. I think I have 2 squares in between. Let me just bring it, whoops, sorry about that. I think I have 2 squares in between each design. And so then you also have to know the stitch count of each individual pattern. And then you just have to, as Pam and Steph like to say, because math. It's because math, you have to add them all together. So decide the orientation that you want to put them on your fabric, right? Because that can change. Little House Needleworks, the Santa's Village, another one that I'm, part way into. Some people did 3 across and some people did 4 across and 3 down or 4 down. So you have to decide how you want them to fit on your fabric. And then you need to take your stitch count of each individual design and you simply add them up so that you come up with a total number of a total number of stitches across and up, so width and height, and then add in, don't forget to add in the number of stitches for each in between each one. And then I really like a generous border, so I'll add in 2 to 3 inches around all 4 sides, and then use that cross stitch calculator. You just Google cross stitch calculator, it'll pop right up. It's a really free, easy resource to use. And then you just plug in your information, the count of the fabric that you've got and your total stitch count, and easy peasy, and you'll have your answer, and it will tell you very clearly what size of piece of fabric that you need. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, moving right on to Nevada Stitcher. So last week I showed how to pull out the center of a skein of, no, it wasn't a skein, sorry, a ball of Dishy, which is one of my favorite cotton dishcloth yarns. And so I showed how to pull out the center of that ball so that you get a center pull ball. And I talked about the difference between a skein or a hank and a ball. And I said, if anyone was interested in me showing how to wind it, I would be happy to share that with you. And Nevada Stitcher said that she would be interested. And usually if there's one comment, there's usually 10 other people who are also interested, but maybe just didn't leave a comment or couldn't leave a comment. So I'm going to assume that there's more than one person that would like to see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna make a separate little video. Probably at this point, it'll probably be next week because I need to wait and see whether or not I'm gonna get the flu next. So, touch wood that this just went through Sarah and John, and that Nicholas and I will be right as rain. Knock on wood. So, it'll probably be next week. But there's one other thing, and this, I know this is gonna sound like I'm completely going into left field here, but stick with me. You may have heard of something called a dryer ball. That is, it's a little woolen ball that you put in your dryer with your wet laundry instead of dryer sheets or using fabric softener in the wash. And I am a huge fan of fabric softener. I love using fabric softener. My husband hates using fabric softener. And I know it's better for our planet to not use it. And wool dryer balls are like the height of environmentally conscious. You know, I have enough wool. I should be using wool dryer balls. And surely, because I have lots of wool and I can figure out how to felt something, I should be able to figure out how to make them. So I thought I would do a little fun video of, first of all, how to cake up a skein of yarn. Because trust me, if you get a skein of yarn that doesn't look like a ball already, you don't want to skip this step, or you will ask my mother how she knows this. You want to make sure you take your time and wind it properly, or else you're in for hours of frustration and possibly even either putting it in the fireplace or throwing it out. Not a lot of fun. So I'm going to do a quick little video where I thought it would be fun. I'll wind a skein of yarn, and I'm gonna learn how to make dryer balls. So I hope you're interested in that. And if not, well, you don't have to watch the video. So I'm gonna maybe do that next week. So thank you, Nevada Stitcher. Great question. Actually, you didn't ask me a question. You said yes. You were being encouraging that you wanted to learn how to do it. So thank you. All right. Cynthia, I already talked about the yes or no to hand lotion. I had a question here that is from Cheryl, and Cheryl, this has nothing to do with stitching or knitting or wool. This has to do with an update on my daughter Sarah's laptop. And you know what? I was wondering if someone would ask. So a few months ago, I spilled a little bit of my drink. Like a little bit, like the top ½ inch of my drink, because it was one of those where I knocked it, but I caught it, but not because it was a fresh drink. The top inch of it sloshed over the side. And unfortunately, you know, as happens, all of the electronics, it seemed like every single electronic in the house was right there. My phone, my iPad, you know, and then Sarah's, I didn't realize it, but Sarah's laptop was sitting beside where the drink was, and my husband was the one who grabbed it. And anyways, long story short, it was not a good outcome. The laptop was fried. So unfortunately, my husband's business, that is his business. He's a computer guy. They have a computer store. So this is everything possible was done to try and rectify the situation. And just so that you understand some of the gravity of the situation here, my daughter had an exam 5 days after this happened, and all of her lecture notes were on there, every single one. Now, there were some lessons learned about data backing up, which she hadn't done, and that was on her. I did not take responsibility for that. However, when you have a panicked teenager who has a really big exam and they're a really hard worker and they study hard and they want to do well, this was not good. Also, she lost a lot of sentimental photographs and friend stuff and things like that. So I was not a very popular person in the household for a number of days. So anyways, I don't understand what they did, but they swapped out something inside it. So it's basically a new computer inside her old computer, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. Not fun. But anyways, all's well that ends well. She has since forgiven me, and I have since forgiven her, and she's learned to back up her data. So it was an expensive lesson. Okay, moving on. Kim Ensman. This is a great question because this leads me into one of my whips. And I think this is working well where I'm going to try and bring my whips into the question and answer period. So I mentioned last week, I was talking about True Blue, which is one of my 3 February works in progress. So here's a picture of what it's going to become when it's all finished. This is by Cheryl and Barbara and Cheryl. It is leaflet number 38, and it is so beautiful. It's so different from things that I normally stitch, but I just love it. I just love it. The pattern itself is a little bit difficult to read. So I did myself a favor and I photocopied it and I blew it up like 200% so that I could very clearly see and mark off what I had done. So beautiful. Okay, so here's my progress from last week. I did a fair bit. So it doesn't look like much, but believe you me, it was. So I filled in entirely this middle section here that is like 3 different colors of DMC. And then, I don't know if you can tell, but that's the first panel of the door there. And then this is the middle panel of that blue door. And so it's this color all the way down. So I did start that. So I am stitching this on a 25 count Congress cloth. Okay, and so Cynthia says, no, not Cynthia, I'm sorry, excuse me, Kim Ensman asked, what is Congress cloth? And I suspect, Kim, that a lot of other people are asking the same thing. What is it? I've never heard of it before. So I'm going to bring it up nice and close so that you can see. Hopefully it'll focus properly. So as you can see, it looks like teeny, teeny, tiny Ada. And I am stitching this 1 thread over each hole. It is like Ada, but it's tiny. So it's like 25 count Ada. It is a stiffer fabric. You can hear it. Can you hear it? I can tell what something's gonna feel like with a fabric when I hear someone touch it. Isn't that funny? But it's got that feeling to it. So it's a bit stiff, and my design is going to fit on the inside of this 11 by 11 Q-snap. So I won't have to move the Q-snap at all, which is probably good because this fabric, I'm not sure how well it would hold up to being moved. So there you can see the edge of it there. So it's still flexible, but it's quite firm. So Congress cloth, I did a quick Google search, and if you have a local needlework shop, I suspect that they could get it in for you. I believe it is, I know that this one is made by Zweigart, and I know Zweigart sells it. Traditional Stitches in, where are they? Edmonton? Traditional Stitches. They're out west, Canada. They have a wonderful online ordering option website. I Googled it, they are carrying it. If I was to get it here, I would, obviously, I have an LNS, so I would probably call Stitch It Central and see if they had it. So your local needlework shop is going to know about it and where to get it. Congress cloth. At least that's what we call it up here in Canada. If you're in the States and you've stitched on this before, let me know. But so you can see the coverage is pretty good with dark. You can still see a little bit of white through my stitches, but when you hold it back, can't tell at all. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's coming along. It's coming along. Okay. Oh, I finished. No, I didn't actually. There's one more thing. A few more things. Sorry, pardon me. Glenn, Southern Stitcher. I had mentioned last week there was a question about stitching in public, which is a great, wouldn't you want to know if there was a group getting together to stitch in public? There is an actual Stitch in Public Day. And I had mentioned last week that there was a group who had gone to a Panera for an all-day stitch-in. And Glenn wrote in and said it was the Stitchin' Blues crew from the Memphis Embroideries Guild Association. So they were the ones who spent the day stitching all day in Panera. And I suspect there were a few more groups that did similar events. So I think that's a great idea. If you don't have any stitchers that you know of who live near you, maybe check out and see if there's an embroiderers guild in your area, and maybe they have different events or classes that are being held, and you don't necessarily have to always join everything, but maybe you might meet one or two new people who you have a lot in common with, and maybe make a new friend from an embroiderers guild. So great idea. And Glenn, thanks for telling me which group that was. I had another comment and lovely question from Kyle, Stitching in Sound Flosstube. And just like I usually give a little heads up about my knitting podcast, The Fiber Friends, being a little more adult in nature, just if you're going to watch Kyle, you may want to wear some headphones, and if you're just watching him for the first time. So he's a funny guy. So Kyle wants to know, what are my unicorn designs? Do I have any unicorn designs? And no, I don't. There's really nothing that I've been hunting for that I would consider to be a unicorn pattern or design. So he said, there was a second part to this question. He said, if you don't have any, are there any designs out there that you would like to stitch that you haven't purchased yet? Why, yes, there are. Kyle, thanks for asking. There are 3 patterns that I've got my eye on. 3 patterns. 2 of them are long dog samplers, and 1 of them is the modern folk embroidery. I've mentioned them before, 2 of them anyways. So the 2 long dog samplers, the first one is Cardinal Points. I'm seeing this stitched on the Facebook group, and it is so very beautiful. I love it. I Stitch All the Things she's stitching it, and it's so beautiful. So beautiful. The other one, the other long dog, is Game of Swans. Another one that I just look at it and I think, oh, that is so beautiful. And the third one is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2019 Mystery Stitch Along. Those are my 3 patterns that I have my eye on. But, you know, I love them. I do. They speak to me. But I have a lot of things in my stash that speak to me. And this year I'm really focusing on the fact that I have something called SABLE with my chart acquisition. And SABLE stands for Stash Acquisition Beyond Life Expectancy. And it sounds funny, because it is funny, right? It's a funny acronym for, you know, but it's actually true. I have more charts in my stash than I can possibly stitch in a lifetime. I do not need any more charts. I don't need any more charts. Now, that does not mean that I won't buy another chart or 2, but it does mean that I need to try to always look at what I already have first and be appreciative and focus on what I have instead of what I'm looking for. Just for me, because, well, otherwise, you know, like I said at the beginning, when I die and my kids just chuck it all away, well, I would have liked to have had the chance to enjoy it before that happens. And you know, none of us ever know how much time we are given. So, time to enjoy it now, what I have. Okay, thanks, Kyle. Thank you very much. Very good information here that I had 3 people leave me comments on, because I talked about, we were talking about the loop stitch, the loop method start, and the pin stitch start. And 3 people left me really great comments about some tutorials that they have found to be very helpful for learning how to do the pin stitch. And there's no need for me to do another one, because these, you know, there's already great resources out there. So I don't have time to edit today, so I'm gonna say this clearly and hopefully you guys will catch what I say. So the pin stitch demonstrations, 3 great resources. The first one is Vana, the Twisted Stitcher. I think we all know Vana. The second one is the Needle Bug, and I'm pretty sure that's bug with 2 G's. And again, great resource. And the third one is Nicola from Hands Across the Sea Sampler. And I think I had 2 people actually recommend that pin stitch tutorial. So there's three choices. We all learn differently. One person's tutorial style might suit you better than someone else's. So don't give up. If you watch one and you think, oh, I didn't quite get that, try the next one. By the time you watch the 3rd video, surely you'll understand how to do the pin stitch. And if not, watch them again. I love to do that. I do that with knitting tutorials all the time. I'll watch it and then I'll get it on this little, where I'll find the few seconds that has the one little technique that I need to learn how to do. And I'll watch it over and over and over and over again until I get it. So anyways, thanks guys. Those were great suggestions for the pin stitch. Last but not least, for the question and answer period today, Teresa Boyer and my mother wanted to know about my eyes from last week. I am not even kidding, I cut out about 10 minutes of me going on about my eyes last week. And Teresa showed lovely concern and said, you should share, because you know what you're experiencing might help someone else. And my mom, you know, immediately went to the, oh no, she's got a detached retina, and you know, panic. Not quite that bad, but you know what I mean. You're a mother and your kid is talking about some problem and then they don't say anything. So thank you, Mom. And you and I have already talked about this, so I'm just gonna quickly share it so that it was really literally, it was nothing. I cut out 10 minutes of, remember that picture at the beginning of the video where the story goes like this? That was me talking about my eyes. If I condense that to beginning of story to end of story, I have terrible eyes. I'm getting older. I'm a stitcher, and I'm starting to struggle with seeing the fabric because I love to stitch on teeny, teeny, tiny fabric. That's all it is. It was literally 10 minutes long. And so I deleted it because you didn't need to hear it. It was me rambling for 10 minutes. So thank you, Teresa and Mom, for your concern. My eyes are fine. They are healthy. And that's it. That's it for the question and answer period. Isn't that fun? Thank you for so many great comments and questions. That was really fun. I showed you my first whip, which was the True Blue. 2 other whips that I'm working on. The second one is my little Quaker Motif that was the replica of the very first thing I ever stitched. Remember a few weeks ago I showed you the pattern because I have no designer information, I have no nothing, and it's riddled with mistakes. So if you want to copy that, I think that's a-okay. Please watch out for mistakes. Once you get the first corner, I ignore the pattern. I got the first corner and now I'm just going off of following what I did. So here's where I am. Now, this is on a 14 count natural Aida that's done on one of those pre-wrapped canvases. I really like, I'm enjoying the fabric. I love the look of it. My thread is Victorian Holiday, Victorian Motto Sampler, and the DMC conversion number for this is 498. So 498, that's the color. It's a beautiful color. It's just a beautiful Christmas color. So you know, my thoughts on the canvas, I like the fabric. I don't have a problem with the fabric, but the canvases themselves, I think I paid $10 for 3 of them. I really have nothing to complain about. They were so inexpensive. In fact, $10 may even be generous. It was very cheap. And I got them at Michael's. Came in a 3-pack, very inexpensive. The quality of the frame itself is not great. So they're a little bit wobbly, and as you work, you can see the tension on the fabric, of course, is going to give a little bit. So as far as display purposes, when I'm done, I'm going to wrap some cardstock in fabric, and I'm probably going to push it right up against the stitching, like white cardboard, and then I'll cover the back. Actually, no, that's not what I'm going to do. The cardstock on the inside so that it's held firm, and then a little piece of fabric on some cardstock again on the outside to cover the back of it. So I'll make it work, but you know, just something to be aware of if you're considering doing something similar. There was something else I was going to say about that. Now I can't quite remember. Couldn't have been important. Okay, so that's that. Last whip has been my Modern Folk Embroidery Mysteries Season Sal from 2018. I love this piece so much, like so much. I love it. So I've actually taken a short little video, just like I did last week, to put in right here. As you can see, we've got a bird. We have a bird and an almost complete flower. So that is right there. That's the work that I managed to complete this week. Not a lot, but boy, I sure enjoyed every single stitch. Love it. The linen color is washing out in my lighting today. The actual color of this fabric is it's warmer in real life. There's almost a bit of a cold undertone happening that at least what I can see on the screen. And in real life, it's just warmed up just a touch. It's R&R Reproduction 40 count linen in the Patriots Brew colorway, and it's a discontinued HDF silk by Vicki Clayton in the Zafra Cobalt colorway. And yeah, hoping to see a lot more progress on this in the weekend coming up. I mean, how cute is that bird? Oh, love it. So as you can see, not a lot of progress, but enough to, you know, a few stitches here and there, enough to make me feel pretty good. Okay, so that's it for me today. I apologize in advance if the editing on this video is not up to my usual mediocre standard. I have zero time for editing today because it is now 2 o'clock. My family's going to be coming through the door any minute, and I know for a fact that John is going to he's not feeling well. So I really don't have time to edit this today. So I'm going to piece it together as best as I can so that I get an episode up today. I'm sorry about Friday. I enjoy the interaction with all of you that I have met through doing these videos. And so when I don't put out a video, I find that, you know, it's kind of, I miss it. I miss those comments and the chatter and the conversations that happen. I miss it. I couldn't put one out on Friday because John was taking the truck for the weekend, and we have had such extreme weather variations here. Snow followed by rain, followed by freezing rain, followed by snow, followed by thaw. And it's I can't remember another winter. It hasn't been like this for many years. And our roads in the neighborhood are, they're terrible. I mean, terrible. And there's nothing the plows can do, right? Like, you can put salt on it, sand, salt for days, and it doesn't matter, because with the quick changeover between thaw and freeze and snow buildup, it's pockmarked. It's like ice mountains out there trying to drive over. And our second car is quite small, and I'm already not a confident winter driver. We've got snow tires on it. It's very safe. My husband drives it to work every day, but I don't love driving it, especially when the roads are like that. And so I knew he was going away with the truck. I knew I was going to be on my own here for the weekend. So I had to then do all of my errands on Friday. And I had a lot to do to set me up for the weekend, and a lot of other things going on as well. And I just didn't have time. And you know, all weekend I was kind of like, wish I'd done a video. So, you know, I miss you guys when I don't do it. So I will definitely see you this Friday, unless I have the flu. We'll see. Anyways, enough about that. Okay, have a great week. I'll see you on Friday. Take care.